Selling. If you're feeling guilty about selling, then when put together, you're going to want to watch this training. I'm going to be covering very common myths about selling that are costing you a fortune. One of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs make, and people in general, is that they have all these what I would call like selling superstitions. And why is it a superstition? Because what is a superstition? It's a strong belief in something that nobody thinks to question. And today we're going to be questioning these common misunderstandings, these misbeliefs, and these myths about selling that are costing you a fortune. So let's go into this first. What is selling? The first myth that people believe about selling is that selling is convincing. Selling is not convincing. Selling is the opposite of convincing. People think that selling is when when someone is trying to convince others to buy what they don't want, they don't need, and they can't afford. But that is not selling, friends. What selling really is the opposite of convincing. Selling is persuading, not convincing. Selling is persuading someone to do something or buy something for their own reasons and for their own good. This is what really selling is. And when we can understand this, then it shifts. It allows us to see, oh, selling is something that I could do to help someone for their reasons that they already want to do. So one of the first tips for selling is only sell those things that people already want to buy. Instead of trying to get people to want what you have, take what they already desire, what they already want, and then sell them that. So that's a first myth, is that selling is convincing. Selling isn't convincing. Selling is persuading. The second myth is that people hate being sold to. It's like, wait, what? Yeah, here's the thing. 95% of people hate selling. Like, they don't like selling to others, is what I mean. If 95% of people hate selling and only 5% of people actually love sales or are in sales or do sales, then I want you to think about that. If you are not selling, the only other option that you have is to be a what? To be a buyer. Exactly. So if 95% of people hate selling, that means 95% of people love buying. They love to buy. So in other words, that if you're willing to be one of the top 5% of people, it strategically positions you in the marketplace because the rest of the world is eager to buy what you have to offer. So people actually there are millions of people in this world who already desire to buy what you have to offer. For many of you, there's hundreds of thousands, there's millions of people who already want what you have to offer, and they are eager to buy it from you, but they don't know you exist. They don't know what you have yet. And selling is, when you get good at sales, it can definitely differentiate you in the marketplace. There's the problem. If you're not selling now, it's not because there's a lack of people to buy or a lack of buyers. It's just that people haven't found you yet. And that's where Luke chapter 10 verse 1, it talks about how the harvest is plenteous, but the laborers are few. The harvest is great. So the people who are ready and ripe to harvest, that are buyers that are so eager for what you have, like, they're many, but it's the laborers. Those who are willing to do the labor of love, that is selling. Yes, selling is loving. And those are the ones who are going to be reaping the lion's share of the harvest in business. So the first thing to understand is that people don't hate being sold to. People actually love, 95% of people love being sold to. They love to buy. And the problem is that a lot of times people think that they hate selling because the only sales experiences that you remember are the bad ones. When you see someone who is not very trained or not very skillful in selling, then you remember how it made you feel, and you felt like uncomfortable. You felt bad regarding that, and so you walked away. You did not buy, and you walked away thinking, oh, I don't like sales. I don't like the discomfort that these sales environments, or when someone's trying to sell to me, how it makes me feel. But what about all the other times that you bought something? Think about a purchase that you made in the last 6 months, last year, that you enjoy, that you're grateful for. I bought my phone. It's a Google Pixel. I love this phone. But why did I buy it? I bought this phone because there was an ad that was advertising, that was selling me as a creator, saying, hey, this is a phone for creators. This is a phone that will record, and they were showing all the content that could be created. I'm like, what? Like, that's totally me. I want that, and sign me up. And I purchased it, and and it's because someone sold it to me. And then I went forth and I sold it to other friends. Now, I didn't get paid for that, but that is, I was just naturally wanting to share. So all the other experiences where you bought something, anything, it could be your car, it could be some food, it could be some clothing. Every other sales experience that you bought, you just thought, it's like, oh yeah, I just bought that. Like that was me making my decision. No, somebody sold you that. Someone marketed that product to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have known. Someone recommended that restaurant. Someone recommended that store. You walked in. There was marketing. There was sales involved. And if they didn't sell it to you, you would never have bought. All purchases are because someone sold something. And if you enjoyed that purchase, that means that you enjoyed being sold to. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? How about a yes in the chat if this is making sense to you, friends? So, yes, okay, great. So these are some of the distinctions, the myths that once you recognize, like I'm telling you, when you recognize that 95% of people love to buy, then it really changes. Like, how do you think that's going to affect you as you show up to offer and present your products, your services, and your offers to the marketplace? People will be lining up at the door, eager, because if you feel like you are pushing someone, if you feel that you're making people feel uncomfortable and you're putting themselves in a bad situation, what are you going to not want to do? What are you going to want to try to avoid, right? You're going to avoid sales. You're going to avoid transforming lives with your offers and your solutions. So, and you're going to lack in sales. So we have to change the way that we view sales in order to be able to grow in this area. See, after doing thousands of sales conversations on virtual live events and one-on-one, there is a few distinctions that I learned in how to sell and what to sell and why people, like, I've noticed patterns that makes a difference between those who are struggling in selling and those entrepreneurs who are succeeding and strive and are succeeding in their selling. And some of these distinctions, it's not really about what they said. It's not really about what they read. It's more about what was going on in their head. See, it's the beliefs that you have about selling that unless you rearrange or reframe some of these beliefs, you're always going to struggle, because you're not going to want to put people through this terrible, like this uncomfortable experience that you didn't like. So you have to begin to realize that people actually love buying. They love being sold to. And the more that you begin to see this, it will help open up doors and possibilities. A third myth that people believe is, I'm not a salesperson. I'm not a salesperson. You're like, well, I'm not a salesperson. It's like, yeah. So this last, I think it was last weekend, I was doing an event in our business, and we had a bunch of entrepreneurs who were in the room. And there we were at this restaurant, and we were there because a friend of mine had recommended. They're like, this is my favorite restaurant in all the city. We're like, wow, that's pretty cool. So we went to the restaurant, we checked it out, and we were there. Why? Because my friend sold to us, this is her favorite, and then we were able to bring and invite a lot of other entrepreneurs to come to the meetings. And I pointed out to them, it's like a lot of people feel like they're not selling, or they're not a salesperson, they don't know how to sell. But the truth is, like, you already sell things all the time. For instance, I had people in the room, I was like, okay, who here in this room has a Google Pixel? And there was like maybe 5 or so hands, 6 hands that rose their hand. They're like, I got it. I'm like, okay, who here had a Pixel before I recommended it to them? And like all the hands went down. And it's like, why? It's like, did I get a single commission from selling all those phones? No, but when you enjoy something, you naturally want to share it. You share your favorite shoes, you share your favorite restaurants, you share your favorite phones, your gadgets, you share, it's like anyone who owns a Mac, it's because, or an Apple phone, iPhone, it's because someone had an experience and they recommended it to a friend, or they shared something. That whole, the whole debate between like Mac and PC, or iPhones and Android, this whole thing is, these are salespeople. Like, you are selling what you have or what you've bought. And these are natural, like, you are already selling to people. And the sooner that you realize that you are a salesperson, just by virtue, by nature, like you were born with a strong ability to persuade others. Like, as a baby, when you wanted some food, you made sure that you were able to persuade your mother to give you some food. As you were a child, when you're going through the grocery store, you're like, wait, hey. It's like, and you're looking at stuff. Children naturally know how to persuade. They know how to sell. It's as we get older, we start changing and reframing and getting programmed from the media, who really likes to demonize salespeople and entrepreneurship, where we start listening to poverty preachers, and then religion starts coming in, false religion, and starts to put a lot of bad connotation on these natural God-given skills that is selling. And then we start distancing ourselves and not seeing ourselves as a salesperson. But friends, you already are a successful salesperson. It's just a matter of, like, there's no such thing as a good or a bad salesperson. There are only trained salespeople and untrained salespeople. But everybody is a sales individual. And these are areas that will help, not just in business, but learning to sell and learning to sell well will help you in your families, being able to persuade your family members. Like like selling is a skill of influence. And that is the difference if your daughter, who has more influence, if you have more influence on your daughter or the drug dealer on the street. Selling it will help you in your health, because that helps you to determine whether I'm going to eat this like dessert treat, or if I'm going to eat this healthy, nourishing food, this superfood nutrition, or if I'm going to go eat this sundae, this ice cream. You have to sell yourself. And the exact same principles of influencing others is how you influence yourself to go from unhealthy behaviors to healthy behaviors. And they help in so many contexts of life, in leadership, in even love and marriage. It's like learning sales helps not just financially or in your business. Learning sales helps in every area of your life. So it is worthy, I believe, to get good at selling and redefining what sales is in our minds. So the fourth myth that people believe that's costing them a fortune and is keeping people broke is that selling is uncharitable. Selling is unkind. Selling is uncaring. Selling is incompassionate. Is not compassionate. So what do I mean by selling is uncharitable? Most people have a charitable intent. People have, like, the word charity means love. It means generosity. So when you think about people have a mission heart, especially like for me. What happened was, when I was younger, like I mentioned, children naturally like to sell. But for me, I was really interested in it. I was making about $27 an hour when I was 10 years old, and I made hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Then when I went to middle school, I was making thousands of dollars. I was selling candy. I was selling gum. And as I was selling, I started several businesses I was able to sell things to. And then as I got to about 16, I gave my heart to Christ. And then I had two mentors kind of take me under their wings, and they taught me so many things about the Bible, about life, about people, about just, they taught me so many precious lessons. But with those precious lessons, there was also their limiting beliefs about money, their limiting beliefs about selling. They had a belief that business is bad, that business is the opposite of service or ministry. And when you look at ministry, ministry simply means serve, like to serve, it's serving. So I believe business is ministry. Business and ministry are not two separate things, they're one. But there was limiting beliefs. So I had my poor missionary mentors, they started putting these limiting beliefs where I realized I'm like, oh, I got to stop doing things, I got to stop selling for things or charging a fee, and I need to start doing for free. And I thought that free was better, was more charitable, was more kind. And so that started my poor missionary journey. And in this, as I continued, I was in full-time ministry for about 9 years, and about 5 of those years I ended up being a poor missionary, homeless, living in my car. And it was like struggling because I believe that selling is uncharitable. It wasn't until I met one of my first mentors in business. He loved the Bible and he loved business, and he didn't see them as two separate things. His name was John Rhodes, and when I met him, I saw he was thriving as an entrepreneur, and he would sell to people and he would serve people. He had a lot of influence spiritually with the people he would reach. I'm like, what? And so he started to open to me new possibilities of what could be done in sales, in the arena of business and service, and using your business as a vehicle to serve God and to serve others. And I'm like, mind blown. So this helped the shift of belief, like the beliefs that I'm sharing with you, the transitions of sales is what helped to take me from a poor missionary, homeless in my car, to having a family business, earning 6 figures a year. So these are not just like theories or something I read in a book. These are actually practically lived, actually applied. And after thousands of sales conversations later, I'm just sharing with you some of the distinctions that I've noticed why people struggle and why others succeed. And since working with John, I started to mentor and share I started my sales started to increase, and other business owners, executives, and entrepreneurs were coming to me, and they're like, what are you doing? And they're like, what are you doing to be able to grow? How are you selling so much? And I just realized like I was tapping in to what I've always loved doing. Sales was just something I love, serving people, and I love sales. And by being able to do that, it's like, wow, this is great. And it's opened up new opportunities to influence people in a way that I never could as a poor missionary. You understand? Yeah, someone says that's the power of association. It truly is. So selling is uncharitable. Why is this a lie? Because when you really consider it, like, I want you to think about this. The reason why this is just wrong, flat out, is because every dollar that is ever given to anyone is because someone sold something to someone at some price. So every dollar, like, think about this. Without salespeople, businesses could not pay their employees. Every dollar that an employee gets in their paycheck is paid because there are salespeople in that business that sell something to someone in the marketplace, and because of those sales, they're able to take a chunk of the sales and pay them to the employee. Every employee. Every organization that exists is because salespeople are what is able to bring in a flow of cash flow, and be able to, like circulation, they call like money, circulating of money. That's a result of salespeople. And it's like circulation of money is like circulation of blood. When perfect health depends on perfect circulation. And when your blood stops circulating, you get things like heart attacks, you get clogged, you get you get death and disease wherever circulation is not going. Or if it gets sluggish and there's not a lot of circulation. But same thing with the economy. When there's not circulation, they call that a recession. Things start getting clogged. If there are beliefs that cause a lack of circulation, and it's salespeople that are circulating and transitioning, transacting, it is because of salespeople that keep currency flowing through the economy. That's like creating a financial heart attack or a financial strain on the economy. But when you look at that, even every dollar that's given, some people are like, well, that's not true, not every employee. I work for the government. It's like, well, look at the government. Where does the government get their money? Because they tax business owners and salespeople, and by taxing them, that's where they get their money. The governments don't make money. They tax it from salespeople and makers, and they take the money from them, and then they give to their employees. So even government employees all get paid because of salespeople in the marketplace who are serving others. In like manner, now I want you to get this, and you write this down, but let this sink in. Are you guys ready? Every dollar that is ever given to any charity, any church, any ministry is because of a salesperson who sold something in the marketplace. There could be no charitable donation or contribution if there were not salespeople selling things. And in like manner with charities, any charity, any church that does not make more money than what they spend will shut their doors, will go out, and they will shut down shop, and they will be unable to serve and make the contributions that they were initially set up. I mean, I've helped many missionaries. I've helped many ministry-minded people who are very their just heart is to serve. And I've seen businesses, ministries, organizations that want to start and they have no financial understanding of biblical financial laws. And they think like, I'm just going to have this because it's helpful. I want to go help people. And so I need to give, and because they have limiting beliefs on sales, they're like, I'm going to go give everything away for free. And by doing that, they're unable to make ends meet. And for me, I had like 16 failed business attempts before I settled upon, before I came in contact with my business mentors, and I started to have millionaire mentors that began to open up to me the laws of finances and how finances actually work. And then that was able to finally have that six-figure family business that took off. Where before I had all these limiting beliefs and baggage about 1, money, 2, selling, and 3, business. And as long as you don't address these beliefs, these belief baggage or these belief blocking, blessing blocking beliefs that are holding you back in your business, then you're going to struggle. And I believe that people of faith who especially struggle because they think that the Bible suggests that you are to be poor, that you should stay away. But you know, a lot of these selling superstitions, as I've been calling them, are really, they're just taught in churchianity. They're not founded on biblical principles. So we see that selling is not only charitable, selling is the only way that dollars get to the hands of charities and causes that you care about. So understanding this will help to, if you really, really care about a cause, get extremely good at selling and sell your way to wealth and use that wealth to invest back into the causes you care most about. Is this making sense, friend? Hit yes in the chat if this is making sense to you. So I'm going to be addressing, and each one of these myths, if you believe these myths, they're going to be blocking your blessings. So what is the fifth myth or misbelief that people have? Is like, number one, is that selling is something you do to people and not for people. So here's the thing, we have to stop believing that selling is something that you do to people. That's not the case. Selling is something you do for people. And I'll give you an example. So while we were at our health meeting, there was someone at the meeting, her name is Sherry, and she stood up and she shared a testimony, and she's like, you know, because I was sold these products. So we have a health food store, and we help people to lose weight. We have help people to get fit, feel fabulous, and live financially free, and to be able to really flourish physically, and we help athletes to be able to have more endurance with, and to maybe cut the lean, stubborn fat, or we've helped people that are 400 pounds to lose 200 pounds and beyond. So there's a variety of different things that we've helped. My mother personally I sold my mom the weight loss program in our company, and my mom was able to lose 50 pounds. Like, like, what if I didn't sell that to her? And it's not even just the weight that she lost, it's what we gained. Since then, she's been able to be in better health, where she's climbed mountains with me and gone up mountains, and we got to the very top. I'm like, Mom, we've never done this, because she was overweight my whole life. And I'm telling you, as a child, I was a little boy, and I remember wanting to run around and like be active as children are. And my mom's like, no, I don't really want to do that. I can't do that. And she had these exercise like limitations. She could not physically go do active things with me, or we'd go on hikes, my sister and I, and Mom would never go. And so we'd have to go alone. And I just remember from childhood just being like, I wish I could go do something active with my mom. I wish that she could be here, but she couldn't, until I sold her our weight loss program in our health food store. After she's able to lose 50 pounds, after she's able to get better sleep, and her mind is being recovered with some of the health supplements that we have, her mental fog was going away, clarity is coming, she's making better decisions, she's eating healthier, getting the nutrition that her body was lacking, and then boom, now she's able to climb mountains. Now we're able to go to rivers. Now we're able to hike together. And I'm like, she's doing things. I'm like, what? Literally, it's a childhood dream come true. And none of that could have been possible if I didn't sell her the weight loss program. People are like, what? You would sell to your own mother? It's like, yeah, I would sell to my own mother. It's like, if you know that something is going to transform someone's life, I know that when someone pays for it, they're going to pay attention. When they pay for it, they value it. They care about it. They use it. And I know that the transformation is in the transaction. You could write that down, friends. The transformation is in the transaction. If I did not transact or transfer that, she wouldn't have the transformation. My mom's not the only person who's able to hike mountains after decades of being unable to. But there's also someone else. Sherry was there, and Sherry stood up and she's like, look, after being on the products, I was before I was overweight, before I had like just pain in every cell of my body, very excruciating, debilitating. Sometimes I was bedridden. Sometimes I had so little energy, I couldn't get up and do the basic things of life. It was such a struggle for years. Literally, she dealt with this for years. She said, before I started having these issues, I was able to hike. I loved hiking. I loved climbing mountains. But then I just got these issues. And then because I wasn't able to exercise, I haven't been able to do that until I was introduced to these products. And then when I was able to move forward, recently she went on a hike and she was able to climb a mountain. And as she's climbing up the mountains, she was able to climb, and she climbed for miles. She says, this is the first time I've climbed a mountain in 23 years. Can you believe that? Like an old joy and thing that she enjoyed. She's like, I haven't climbed mountains for 23 years. I didn't even know my body was capable. She's literally 23 years older today than she was before, and now she's hiking with greater energy, greater stamina, and she didn't collapse the day afterwards. She enjoyed it with friends. And you see, it's the quality. It's really not about the product. Like, the product is incredible. It's great, backed by science. But what's really the transformation is how the product is able to create a transformation and change a life. See, you're here because you have something to offer. You have gifts. You have abilities. You have solutions that other people are looking for. And I'm telling you, people would be passionate about paying you for the solutions and services, products that you provide, if you would charge them. And it's not doing them a disservice by you selling or charging a fee. But in other words, think about Sherry. If I did not sell to Sherry and help her to get that transformation, I'd be doing a disservice to her. And like manner for you, if you don't learn to sell well, you're actually doing a disservice to the people who you are called to serve, the people that are eagerly looking for what you have to offer. And if you can change someone's life, then I believe it is a responsibility to be able to sell that passionately, lovingly, with conviction about what you have to offer. Is this making sense, friends? Put a yes in the chat if you could see that selling is not something you do to people, but it's something you do for people. Okay, great. So I personally love selling because selling makes the world a better place. Selling is serving. Selling is transforming lives. I want you to notice, if you want to get good at sales, you have to be able to be like, look, I love selling because selling makes the world a better place. And when you believe that too, you're going to be passionate about presenting and persuading people in a way that is life transforming for not only for the buyer, but also for you as a seller. So, number 5, myth, selling is not something you do to people. Selling is something you do for people. Let that sink in. Really think about that. Number 6. Sixth myth that people believe is that selling is sleazy, selling is shady, selling is selfish. See, I had a friend that he had these books that were just incredible, life-changing. And he would go, and it has like a message that could totally transform your health. It could totally transform your relationship. It could transform every area of your life. Totally powerful. And he's going out and he's selling these books and he's sharing them with people. And then like selling them face to face, like he didn't have an issue. And he knew, like he was great. He was one of the best people that I knew. Selling door to door, selling in groups or businesses, just books. So he was a colporteur is what they called him. And as he's doing this, he's doing great. But then when he goes online, then when he starts selling from selling like music that he put together, then he's selling which are equally life-changing, and he's sharing things like other like digital versions of his books and digital like course or program or possibility. And he's got a YouTube channel where he's like impact people's lives, and he's creating content that people are like, wow, it's inspiring people to live a life of service. And then he's like, oh, do you think I should say something about like buying this offer or like going to this website where they can buy, like go into a sales page? Or do you think it's going to sound too sleazy? It's like, wait, what? I'm like, hold on. Okay, in no universe do I put sales and sleazy in the same category. Like, sales is not sleazy. Like, there are people who do sleazy things that are salespeople, but that doesn't mean sales is sleazy. Just like as a mechanic, I was a mechanic for a time, and there are some mechanics that do sleazy things. But does that mean that the profession of mechanics is sleazy? Does that mean every mechanic is a sleazeball? No way, Jose. This is not the case. So in like manner, sales is service. Sales is one of the most honorable professions that can exist in the marketplace. Sales is one of the most noble and the most service and valuable professions in the marketplace. Sales is not sleazy. And as long as you're thinking that sales people are sleazy, like as long as you're looking at salespeople like that sleazeball, he's just trying to take my money, and you're like, let me try to avoid him. If you are a grudging buyer, if you are resistant to people that are seller, if you paint a picture as salespeople are sleazeballs, they're shady. Oh, this selfish person, he's just trying to get my money. He's just trying to get something from me. And as long as you keep thinking these things, you're gonna be broke as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur. It's going to be a struggle. Your entrepreneurship journey will be a continual struggle until you can overcome these limiting beliefs. And I'm helping you to see things a little differently. You have to become the person who genuinely loves selling, genuinely loves salespeople, and genuinely loves to be sold. Are you guys picking up what I'm putting down? Is this making sense? So it wasn't until I had to shift from my poor missionary mindset and start realizing, wait a second, I could serve people better through selling than doing things, all this stuff for free. Why? Because Jesus said, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. This is Matthew 6:20. So in other words, the heart follows their pocketbook, and people who pay a little attention. People who pay a lot of attention. But people who pay nothing pay no attention. And the sooner you realize that even the act, I want you to get this, the act of you charging for your solution in of itself is service, is valuable, is a gift to the buyer. Not just, like for me, when I sell things, it's like, my life's not going to change if someone buys. Like if you buy or don't buy, like that's not going to change my life. But it could definitely change your life. I know my products and my programs work. I know that they change lives. But whether you buy or not, like that's up to you. It's like, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But I do know that when the transformation is in the transaction, when you make an investment, you're making an investment in yourself. You're investing in your life, in your future, in your body, whatever it is, in your relationship, depending on the offer. And so selling is not selfish. Selling is selfless. It's serving others. And really, people who are bad at sales, they'll think of their themselves, or they'll think of like what they're going to get from it. But if you're thinking about what you're going to get from it, the money you're making, that's one of the worst ways to sell. It's one of the worst ways to, the best ways to stay broke, because those who are the best salespeople I know of, and some of the most successful salespeople I know are some of the kindest, the most selfless, the most service-oriented people that I've ever met. Like a lot of the salespeople are some of the most generous people and the kindest people that I've ever met. They're people of integrity, people of honesty, people of strict, just like trustworthiness. And this whole view of like selling are sleazy and these things is like, as long as you just paint the picture on all these salespeople as such, then you're gonna be broke and it won't be a joke. And but the truth is, I love this verse in Proverbs 11:26. King Solomon, who was the wisest and wealthiest man on planet Earth in human history. I want you to think about this. Do you think we can learn a thing or two about business from the wisest and wealthiest man that ever lived? Hit yes in the chat if you think that we can learn some lessons about life, about business from the wisest and wealthiest man that ever lived. This is how King Solomon expressed his views of his I believe divinely inspired views about selling. In verse 26, he that withholdeth the corn, the people shall curse him. They'll what? They'll curse him. But blessing shall be upon the head of him that selleth it. It says there's the curse to those who withhold, but there's a blessing to those who sell. It didn't say give it away. It said selling it. We're talking about corn, we're talking about bread. This is food that people need for life. This is something that if they don't have bread, they don't have food, then they're going to die. But it doesn't say give it all away. It says sell it. Why? Because the Bible is in essence sharing that if you have a solution that could impact someone's life in a great way, then you have a moral obligation to sell your products to as many people as you possibly can, as fast as you can. It's like this common belief that selling is immoral. It's not true. Selling, on the contrary, it is the most morally ethical thing that you could do is to sell your solution, sell your service, sell your product to other people. And the Bible says you will be blessed. Salespeople are blessed. Salespeople is one of the most honorable, blessed professions in the marketplace. And the sooner you realize that and you overcome these limiting beliefs, you realize like, oh, that makes sense. Because we have solutions. Like as an entrepreneur, I would say an entrepreneur is one who finds and solves valuable problems. But as a faith-based entrepreneur, you and I are able to bring heavenly solutions to earthly problems. And as people are looking for these heavenly solutions, you have the opportunity to, like, if you do not sell them, you will be unable to serve them. Are you guys following? So by being able to sell to people, you'll be able to serve them. But if you cannot sell them, then they're going to walk away without your solution. And God forbid, like one of the reasons why if you're bad at sales and people don't buy from you, they're going to walk away with their problem and probably go to your competitor. Which, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that you can give a transformation better than your competitors? Do you believe that what you have is of higher quality or better value than what other people are offering in your marketplace? Yes, okay. Well then, how terrible would it be if someone who came to you with a problem that you know you can solve, you know you can help them, but because you failed to learn the skills, the high income skill, the high impact skills of selling and persuading, you failed to sell them, and they walked away and went with one of your competitors, had a bad experience, weren't treated half as well as you, and were sold something that wasn't as good as what you had to offer. This is what will happen if you don't learn to sell. So the seventh myth that we see is this is the sixth. The sixth myth that we see is that selling is sleazy, selling is shady, selling is selfish. This isn't true, friends. This is not the case. If we could put them on the screen as we're summarizing, that would be really helpful. Thanks. Then number 7, what we see is it is wrong to sell what God gave you. This, friends, this is especially for faith-based entrepreneurs. People think that because I can't give this to someone. Like, this is a gift from God. This is my talent. This is my gift. It's like, whoa, I can't sell it. It's like, if I have something that can change someone's life, like, how dare I go to sell that? Or God gave this to me, and it's like, freely you receive, freely give. It's like, this is a belief that people have. Now, people many times misunderstand that verse in Isaiah that says, freely you receive, freely give. Because while it is true that you can't sell salvation, you can't sell forgiveness, you can't sell the Holy Spirit, you can't sell things of that nature, but when it comes to your gifts and your talents, the only thing that you can sell are the gifts and talents that God gave you. Everything else, there's nothing that you have, there's nothing that is ever sold, ever transacted, that is not a gift or a talent that God gave. And we know this because in Matthew 25, the Bible talks about how God gave talents to all men. When you understand the law of stewardship, you recognize that everything we own belongs to God. All the knowledge you have is not yours, it's God's. All the money you have is not yours, it's God. All the health and strength you have is not yours, it's God's. All the time you have, you were bought with a price. You were redeemed with the infinite price of Calvary. So that time, God purchased your time. The time you have is not yours, it's God's. Everything that we have is borrowed. Everything that we have is lent to us to be used for His glory and for His service. So when you look at anything that is sold, any good that is sold, any product that is sold, any knowledge that is sold, any consulting, any coaching, any muscle-oriented, hands-on thing that is sold, all of it is a gift from God. And this is for employees who are selling their time. This is that time is a gift. It doesn't belong to you. The only thing that you can sell are the gifts and talents that God gives you. So you need to stop thinking that just because God gave it to you means that you can't sell it. That's not how it works, friends. God gave you the talents because He expects you to share it. In Matthew 25, God says, you should have put my talents to the exchangers so that I could come and have mine with usury, with increase. So that God is actually expecting more wealth and more increase, growth, of return on investment. As He's investing in you, He's giving to you. He wants you to sell, He wants you to trade, He wants you to exchange so that you can have more than what you started before. Is this making sense? Hit a yes in the chat if this is giving you some things to think about. So stop thinking that it is wrong. Number 7, it is wrong to sell what God gave you, because that's not the truth. The truth is the only thing that you can sell is the gifts and talents God gave you. So number 8, this right here is key. Like, if you want to have a line of hungry buyers who are knocking at your door ready to purchase what you have to offer, this is one of the big ones. If you get this, it could make a huge difference. But if you don't, then it can cost you a fortune. One of the biggest reasons people struggle with selling that I've found over the years is because people believe that you can be a stingy buyer and a successful seller. Those two things, like stingy buyers and successful sellers, don't live on the same street, friends. They don't go together. And I'll tell you why. Because when you look at it, actually, Proverbs 11:24, King Solomon puts it this way, and he's pretty clear. Says, there is that scattereth and yet increaseth, and there is that withholdeth more than is meet, but tendeth to what? To poverty. And the liberal soul shall be made fat. He that watereth shall be watered also himself. So this is talking about when you scatter, when you give away, when you exchange, and yet increase. You're able to profit. You're gaining. Or there's a withholding. There's a penny pinching that actually leads to poverty. Because the thing is, when you are cheap, if you are a cheap buyer, if you're constantly looking to cut deals, or if you're being stingy with your finances, or if you are always looking for something to be free or cheap, or if you think, oh, like I was reading a comment of an ad recently and someone's like, I really like this guy. He teaches a lot of stuff, but I would respect him more if he gave all the stuff away for free. Because it's like, really, do you need to be charging people? He doesn't realize these biblical laws of selling. And so people have this idea that it's better if it's free, which is not the case. So if you have like if you're looking for everything free and cheap, you're going to attract based on who you are. You're going to attract the type of buyers that you yourself are. How do I know this? Because those who refuse to pay will be unable to sell. I'll say it again. Those who refuse to pay will be unable to sell. What do I mean by that? I mean, if you're not willing to pay people for their service, for their time, for their knowledge, for their experience, for their products, if you struggle to pay other people, then you will struggle to sell. Because if you don't think other people is worth it, if you don't think other people, she's gonna like drink some water. If anybody wants some water, there's a great time to take a sip. So, what we're talking about is, if you don't believe that, if you are stingy with paying other people, then you're going to struggle charging other people, because it will be inconsistent with, like, people will never act consistently outside of what is inconsistent with their identity. You will not do an activity consistently outside of who you believe your identity is. So if you are cheap, or if you're a cheapo people, if you're a freeple people, then you're going to be attracting those people who are cheapo and people. And when you are willing to pay a fee, when you are willing to pay a premium, you will attract premium buyers. You will attract people who genuinely love. Like, I genuinely love to pay people. I love being sold to. I love if someone is able to save me time, someone has studied and went a different route in their life, who are able to fill a gap of skills that I could have. I'm willing to invest in my mind. I've invested over $200,000 of training into my mind, learning skills in business, in sales. A lot of the courses and books, I read courses, I attend events, I do what I can to learn about sales, learn about business, learn about ways, marketing, how to get my message to people who can be reached. And these are, like, I'm willing to invest because I realize my mind is the greatest asset that I have. It's like I've invested more into my mind than most people pay for in their vehicle. Or in some houses have cost less than the skills and the resources that I've invested. So become a person who genuinely loves to pay people, and you will attract people who are eager and who genuinely love paying you, who are passionate about paying you for the products and programs and solutions that you offer. Because here's the truth. Proverbs says that there is that withholdeth that leads to poverty. It's penny pinching that is one of the practices producing poverty. When you let go of this penny pinching, this stinginess approach, then you will start to have more people who are interested in buying, because it's the liberal soul. When you are generous with the servers or with the solutions, with the programs, with the people, mentors, when you're generous, you will start to find other people are generous to come to you. Because if you are unwilling to buy, how could you authentically be able to sell? It's going to be inconsistent. You're like, I'm not willing to pay people, but I'm going to try to ask others to do something that I'm not willing to do. It's like, that's not integrity. So learning, one thing that helps is learning, stop being a stingy buyer, start being an eager buyer, and then you will be a successful seller. You'll be more successful in your sales. Does this make sense? So this is the 8th problem that people go through, is the myth is that you could be a stingy buyer and a successful seller. Not true. That's not how it works, friends. So let's look at the 9th myth and mistake that people think is that number 1 is that selling is taking advantage of people. And this is number 9, not 1. Selling is taking advantage of people. And people, like, I've had conversations where people are like, oh, I don't want to, like, when I'm coaching entrepreneurs and I'm coaching business owners, like, one of the limiting beliefs that holds them back in growing their business is that they're like, oh, well, it's like, I'm afraid, like, I don't want to take advantage of them, or I don't want to, like, they're focusing on taking. And when you shift your mindset from what you take and you start realizing, what are you giving? Like, I could focus, like with Sherry, I could focus on the money that I'm taking, the time that I'm taking, or I could focus on the gift that I'm giving, the health that I'm giving, or the opportunity to, like, I'm not taking advantage of Sherry. I'm giving Sherry an opportunity to take advantage of the offer of the transformation I can provide her. And so when you realize that you're not taking advantage of people, you're giving people a gift, an opportunity to take advantage of the offer you've provided. This is the truth. And in all reality, there is the financial law of exchange is the secret to wealth. When you realize that it is through exchange that creates wealth, this helps, it shifts some things for you. Like Jesus said in Matthew 25:27, speaking about the 10 talents and the gifts that God had given, thou oughtest therefore to have put my money, the talents, to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. So I want this to settle in. So God wants you to exchange. He's given us exchange. And by doing this, he's looking for an increase. So whatever God gives you, he wants you, it is a God-given duty to increase your wealth, increase your talents in the areas to maximize your time, to maximize your health, to maximize your wealth, to maximize your relationships, maximize whatever you can, max out that in life. Because if you're faithful with little, you'll be faithful also in much. So how does exchange create wealth? Because I'll use this as an example. Let's say I have this water bottle, right? And let's say I want to sell this water bottle to you. And you look at my water bottle and you're like, I like that water bottle. It's a thermos, it's metal, it's built good. It's like, I need a water bottle. You have money and I have a water bottle. So when we exchange, when I give you my water bottle and you give me your money, then what you're really saying is that my water bottle is worth more value to you than the money in your pocket. And what am I saying? I'm saying that the money in your pocket is worth more value to me than my water bottle. So we exchange. Now, by exchanging, I got a trick question. Who walked away in that scenario with greater value? Which person walked away with greater value? Let me know in the chat if you got to guess. It's both. It was both people who walked away with greater value. It wasn't one. Selling is not a win-lose situation. Selling is a win-win situation. Selling, like, I want you to think about that. I had less value before the transaction, before the exchange. But when we exchange, we both increased our wealth. You have more than what you started with. I have more than what I started with. So selling doesn't take from people. It doesn't take advantage from people. It gives people. It enhances. The more wealth that you create, the more wealth you're able to create with everybody else that you do business and transactions. By learning to sell and sell well, you have more resources that now you're able to invest in other businesses and other stores, and they're able to take care of their employees, and their employees are able to take care of families. And pretty soon, within a week, you see that the effect of your transaction, of you selling, has now entered the other parts of the world. Your selling has a ripple effect of value, of transformation, of creating wealth for everybody around. Selling is a good idea because selling is a God idea. By you getting good at selling, you're doing good to others, you're doing good for God, and you're doing good for your family. Selling is not taking advantage of people. The law of exchange shows that this is selling is God's established vehicle to get wealth. This is how. He's ordained it. And the sooner that you realize this, the sooner you will be able to let go of those bondage beliefs and step in to the abundance of blessings that God has in store as we follow these biblical financial laws. Now, how many people is this making sense, friends? Like, hit a yes in the chat if this is making sense to you. So we got number 9. The 9th myth that people believe is that selling is taking advantage of people. Not true. The 10th myth, the last myth, the final common myth that's costing entrepreneurs a fortune is being sold to is uncomfortable. If you believe being sold to is uncomfortable, you are going to struggle in sales. That's just it. Because again, you don't want to put others to that discomfort. Now I'm going to tell you why I love being sold to. I absolutely love being sold to. If someone's selling, like if there's an ad, like if you're one of those people that sees the ads and you're scrolling through social media like, oh, there's all these ads here. I can't stand these ads. Why do they just litter up my stuff with ads? Like I don't want to be sold to. They're just trying to take my money. If that's you, well, I already know you're struggling in your sales, you're struggling in your business. I look at ads and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Like, let me see, what is the hook they're using? How are they speaking? Do I actually like the product? I look through and I'm like, I love being sold. Like, I will actually take a webinar that people are selling and they're selling good, like a high converting webinar that's making like $900,000 a month on an automated webinar. I'm like, what are they doing? Let me sign up for that. And I listen and I be sold. I'm like, I am so easily sold. I'll take that, and then I'll transcribe it. And as I transcribe, then I'll study it out. And I'll look through and I'll see, wow, why? Because great sales leaves clues. If you want to be good at sales, then put yourself in sales environments where you can study people who are great at selling. And because one of the reasons why I love being sold to is because I know anytime and every time that I am put in a sales environment where someone is selling to me, there's only one of two very good outcomes that will take place. Number one, I'm going to be sold to, and the guy's great at sales. I like what he offers. It solves a practical problem that I'm looking for. I already desire to solve it. And I see that he could help that situation, and then I end up buying. Because I invest with him, then it blesses my life. And I'm like, this is great. And by seeing someone who is good at sales to please silence all of our devices. That would be really appreciated. Thank you. But someone who is good at sales that we look at, then when we do that, we're able to, I will learn from someone who's good at sales. I will learn, what did they say? How did it make me feel? What was the response of the audience if I could see them too? I'm looking at the chat and I'm saying like, what was it that landed? What was it that worked? And let me model that. Let me remix that. Let me apply something similar in my sales, in my delivery when I'm speaking to people. Is this making sense, friends? So the first good outcome that will happen from any sales, anytime you get put in a sales environment, is you're going to see things that work and you're going to learn and apply those. The second great outcome that will happen is if someone is selling to you and they're bad at selling, and they're not good, and they're trying to convince you, they're trying to sell to you, and they're not doing a good job. And you're like, how is that a good outcome? Like, why would I want to be in an environment that someone's not good at selling and they're selling to me? Here's why. Because, again, I'm going to learn what not to do. I'm going to look at what did they do that made me feel icky? What did they do that like pushed me away or made me not interested in what they're offering? And many times I'll take more notes on that. I'll take notes on understanding what not to do is just as important as knowing what to do. And by being clear on like, I didn't like how that made me feel, I will never put someone that I'm seeking to serve in the same position that I was placed in by this salesperson who was clearly untrained. Is this making sense, friends? So no matter what, you're going to learn, you're going to earn or you're going to learn. It's going to be a good experience or it's going to be a great experience. It's going to be a good or good, like which one would you want, right? So, stop thinking, like quit being resistant buyers and learn to love being sold to. Like just absolutely love being sold to. If you feel that being sold to is uncomfortable, then you're gonna shy away from sales environments and you're not gonna wanna put others through that discomfort. But because you will attract people who you are. If you really love being sold to, your chances are you're gonna be a great seller and you're going to put people in a very comfortable experience, and they're not often going to remember because they're just going to take it as though, oh yeah, I just made the decision to buy. Like I just like that and I purchased it. They're not going to be like, yeah, this person really sold me. They're just like, wow, I just made one of the best decisions of my life when you deliver your products and services. So if you are, so the 10th mistake, the 10th myth is being sold to is uncomfortable. Let go of that and you will be able to leverage selling and influence in a way that most of the competition, your competition, hasn't even touched. We're addressing some of the common misbeliefs, the common myths that people have. And I'll just share like what we covered is if you're feeling guilty for selling, this video was for you. These are the common myths about selling that were costing you a fortune. So if you like this video, I encourage you to share this with other people. Let other people know that this is available. Go invite people to take a look so that they can listen. And also, if you like this, what we are doing is we have a training. It's the BibleFinancialSecrets.com. In this training, I put together what are all of the limiting beliefs, these financial laws that are holding people back. If you want to deep dive on any of these laws, we've done some training on sales. We've done some trainings on these financial beliefs. And if you address your wealth wounds, then it will heal you for being able to receive greater financial blessings. But if you're ignorant of these financial laws, then any laws that you don't know of are being used against you by people who do know the financial laws. The sooner you can understand them and apply them, then the sooner you'll be able to lift the limits of your business, get to the next level. Because I believe one of the reasons why people are broke is because they don't know the truth about wealth. They don't know the truth about finances. So we see it in the chat. We're going to see it. We're going to drop the link in the chat in the description. And so you just go to BibleFinancialSecrets.com, and when you sign up for that, you will get access instantly to some life-transforming trainings that could teach you how to overcome these wealth wounds and heal from the financial fears that are keeping you in poverty or keeping you from a financial breakthrough. Thank you so much for joining, friends, and I look forward to next time. Remember, as always, God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. Have a great day, friends, and God bless.